Hi, and welcome to lesson 5 of your PKL course. Um, the title of the lesson is Brick in It, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a Lego brick using CAD or computer aided design. If you haven't used CAD before, you might be bricking it, but there's no need to worry because it's just a brick in it. It's very simple, and if you follow this video carefully, you should learn a lot of new skills and how to create things using CAD. This is the first page of Onshape, and there is a number of ways in which we can start a new document. One way is to click on this Create a Document button over here, and the other way is to come up to the top left-hand corner where it says Create, click there, and click Document. We then need to give our document a name. Good practice to use your name as part of the document name as well. So I'm going to call mine JEXC Lego Brick and click Create. We have to wait a few seconds and then it will show me that initial screen. Whilst it's doing that, if I go over to the OneNote, what you'll see here is that there is a drawing here of the Lego brick that we're going to be making. There's a three-dimensional view of it. There's a top view, a front view, and a side view. And all of these dimensions, all of which are in millimeters, you can see, you can go back to and refer to if you miss what I say on the video, but I'll be taking you through step by step. And if you watch 30 seconds of the video and then do what I've asked and then pause it and then go back again and pause it and go back again, then you should get through it quite nicely. But this is the first page that you get to once you've started a new document. And as you can see, what you need to think about is this space as being a three-dimensional space, not like a 2D screen or a 2D piece of paper, but it's a three-dimensional space. And in order to navigate that, we've got three planes. As you can see, we've got a top plane here that I'm highlighting in orange. That goes kind of horizontally. We've got a front plane, which goes facing me, and the right plane, which is pointing sideways. What we're going to do is we're going to create two-dimensional drawings on one of these planes, and we're going to stretch them into three-dimensional shapes. So we're going to draw a rectangle and stretch it into a cuboid. But I want to draw the rectangle initially in the top plane. So I can either click on the top plane there, or I can click on the top plane over here. This panel on the left-hand side is what's called the design tree. And this will have all of the parts of the drawing that you create as you go through, and they will list themselves down here on the left. If I go top and new sketch, it's now drawing a sketch on that top plane. It's difficult to do unless it's actually facing you. So if I press N on the keyboard, that faces the top plane, and as you can see, sketch one plane to face me. Now, along the top are all the sketch tools, and I can do different shapes, I can do all sorts of different things, but the basic thing that I want to do at the moment is to use the corner rectangle tool. If I select that, then I can select the bottom left-hand corner of the rectangle, which I should always use the origin or the middle. It's good practice. Again, it sort of grounds the drawing. So if I click there and then click again, top right-hand corner, I can see the sizes. Don't waste your time trying to get those sizes exact, because as we can see, this size here, which has got a rectangle around it, if I just type 16, it immediately makes it 16. It then puts a rectangle around the other size, which I want to be 8. Type 8. Now, as we can see, my rectangle is a bit small there, so I can use the scroll key, the scroll button on the mouse, and I can zoom out and I can zoom in, and now I can see what I'm doing much more clearly. So there's my rectangle. I now want to stretch that, as I said, which is called an extrude in CAD language. As we can see up and towards the top left-hand side, we have a button which is called extrude. Click on that, and we have a number of choices here. We're going to make a solid rather than a surface or a thin shape. We're going to make a new solid, so we want solid, we want new. The face has already been selected, and it's going to be blind, which basically means that we're able to specify exactly what size it's going to be. We want this to be 9.6 millimeters. If I press that, press enter, I don't need to press mm. When I press enter, it defaults to millimeters because that's what it's expecting. Click the tick. Now, this is now a cuboid. How do I know it's a cuboid? I can press and hold down the right mouse key, the right mouse button, and drag it, and that rotates it and allows me to look at it from different angles. I want to look at it from underneath because I want to now hollow out the inside of this, because as we know with Lego bricks, they are hollow on the inside. This is a process called shell, where we shell or hollow out the block. Again, looking along the list of tools at the top, we have a shell tool. If I click that, another pop-up dialog block appears, and the blue box says faces to remove. We want all the faces to stay there except for the bottom face. So if I click on the bottom face, as you can see, it's hollowed it out, but the wall thickness is too great because the wall thickness here says it's 2.5. That's too much. We want 1.6. That is how I want it. So when I like what I can see, click the green tick, and there we have that hollowed out from the underneath. Now, if you think hard about Lego bricks, you'll remember that this 2x1 brick just has a solid cylinder that comes that is in the underside of it. So but this time I want to draw a circle, and I want to draw it on that face, that underneath face of the brick. So if I right click on that and click new sketch, so I'm not doing it on a plane anymore, I'm doing it on the face of a block that I've already got. But I do want it facing me, so I'm going to press N. Now that's facing me. Select the circle tool this time, and somewhere roughly in the middle, doesn't matter what size it is, again, we can specify the size. That says 3.27. I want it to be 3.2. Press enter. See this little sign here with a 0 with a line through it? That means diameter. So we've got a circle of diameter 3.2 millimeters. But I also want it to be exactly in the middle. So I've got to use another tool, which is called a dimension tool. If I look again along the top of my tools, I find this dimension tool, which is like a double-ended arrow. Click on that. I'm now able to specify what distances this is from various places. So if I click once on the center of the circle, once on the outside of the thing, drag away, that says 4.25527. I just want it to be 4, because as we know, that dimension was 8 millimeters, half of 8 is 4. And then I click again once, the center of the circle, once on the outside. This one I want to be 8 millimeters because the overall length is 16 and half 16 is 8. So now I've got that circle exactly where I want it and exactly the right size. So now I go back to extrude. Again, it's going to be a solid. I'm adding, but this time I don't want it to be blind. I'm not going to specify the length of it. This time I want it to go up to face because I want it to come level with this bottom face. So I go up to face, and then it wants me to specify which face I want it to go level with. Click on that. Happy with everything else there. Click the tick. As you can see, the shading shows that it's now three-dimensional. And there we can see that's what the underside of the brick we want it to look like. So now, top face, I want the two bobbles to go on the top face. Right click there, new sketch. How do I get it to face me? Press N on the keyboard. And now circle tool again. So this time I want, because these are not solid bobbles, these are sort of rings. I can draw two of those. The outside one wants to be 4.8 millimeters, and the inside one wants to be 3.6 millimeters. Let me check that. No, 3.2 millimeters. Okay, so I'm happy with the sizes of those circles, but I want it to be located in the correct place. So from the bottom, I want it to be 4, and from the end, I also want it to be 4. You don't need to worry about where these sizes go. They might look a bit messy, as mine do there, but they don't show up on your final drawing, so you don't need to worry. Now I want to draw another circle on the other side because we need two of these things. That one wants to be 3.2, and another circle from the same center at 4.8, and select dimensions, dimension from the bottom at 4, dimension from the end at 4, and now my two circles are in the right place. So I now need to extrude them. This time I am using this add tools, so I'm adding to the block that's already there. They will be blind because they're coming upwards, so we have to specify that they want to come up 1.6 millimeters. Happy with that? Select the green tick. You can see that it's turned it three-dimensional, and there I have my basic shape. Now I want to give evidence and copy this to my OneNote so that I can show that I've completed stage 1. So what I'll do is just get it to a good angle to show, and then I'm going to use the snipping tool, which if you haven't used already, it's a very, very useful tool. You press Windows key, Shift key, and S key on the keyboard. Your screen goes a bit dark, and you're then able to draw a box of the part of the drawing that you want to snip. Then when you go to OneNote, there's a red box here where I want you to put all of your evidence, but I'm just going to put it down here because I know I'm going to need to resize it. That's a decent size. So there is stage 1. See, it looks exactly like stage 1 there, level 1, just a basic shape, good effort. If that's as far as you get in this lesson, that's absolutely fine. You've learnt the basics. But hopefully you've got time to go on to level 2 and level 3. Right, level 2, we are going to be putting a chamfer on that top edge there and top edge there, because when you try to put Lego bricks together, you will find it much easier to slot them in if it's got a little chamfer there, which helps it to locate in place. We're going to make these uprights slightly rounded, and we're going to put our initials or 3 letters onto the face of the brick there. So if we have a look again up at the top here, towards the left-hand side, we have a chamfer tool and a fillet tool. The chamfer tool is the straight line one, which we're going to use for the tops, and the fillet tool is the rounded one, which we're going to use for those upright corners. So I click chamfer. The distance that you want to use, because we want it to be a really big chamfer, but so it's 0.3 millimeters. So it's only 1/3 of a millimeter, so it's not very big chamfer. And now I need to select the corners that I want to chamfer. You might find it easier to zoom in. Be careful you don't accidentally hit the top surface, because if I hit that, it chamfers not only the outside edge, but also the inside edge. We don't want that. So I'll undo that. And I'll now chamfer just the outside edge on this one. Click the tick, chamfers, good, that's exactly how I want them. Zoom out again. And now this time I'm going to use the fillet. Fillet, slightly smaller, we're only just taking the sharp edge off it. So you make that 0.2. Mine already is, but yours will be defaulted to something else probably. And click those edges. Again, don't do the whole surface because it will chamfer all of the edges, just those vertical edges. One there, one there, one there, and then I might need to rotate it to get that last edge. So I've got all 4 edges. Click the tick, straighten it up, looks good. Just use that tool again just to get it back to the right thing. Now I'm going to put my initials onto this face here. Right click on the face, new sketch. This time we do have to have a sketch. It's not just a question of filleting or chamfering. And I'll press N so that I know it's facing me. Now Onshape have created this nice text tool so we don't have to draw the letters out ourselves. So if I click on that, it wants me to draw a rectangle roughly where I want the text to be. So I'm going to have it there, quite a big rectangle, because unless you have big text, it just won't show up. It gets far too small. And I'm just going to do my 2 initials, JC. Click the tick, and there it appears. Now I can mess around with the location of this a little bit by using my dimension tool. So as you can see, it's given me a center line. which is the middle of my my lettering, or it's going to look like the middle of my lettering. So if I go dimension and take the center line and the very end line and make that 8, that puts my lettering in the center. I want it maybe slightly higher up than where it is because my J comes down a bit lower. So if I take the bottom line and the bottom line, so that's currently 2.52801, I'll make that 3 millimeters. Moved it up slightly, that's a bit better. So I quite like that. So I'm going to extrude it, but I'm going to extrude remove this. So rather than new or adding, I'm going to remove, so it's actually cutting away. Obviously 25 millimeters would be far too much and it would cut it straight out the other side. So I'll change that to 0.5 millimeters. It's just going to go half a millimeter in. Happy with that. Click the tick. And now I can see, if I rotate it, that there's my lettering, there's my chamfer, there's my rounded edges, all as I wanted. Just straighten that up. And now I can snip that and put that as evidence of stage 2 into my OneNote. Take that, back to the OneNote. Again, I'll put it down here, resize. Is stage 1 done? Is stage 2 done? Just stage 3 to go, just the coloring in. So back to Onshape. Now, coloring it in. Perhaps the easiest thing we've done so far, because we don't have to work over here, we don't have to go to the tools up here, we just go to here, we right click, and you see the bottom 3 parts of this menu: assign material, edit appearance, and add appearance to face. We're just going to edit appearance of part 1, so we're going to make the whole of part 1 and change its color. I'm going to make this a red block, so I'm going to click red, and there we have our red block. Now, the only other thing that I want you to do is to just make the bottom of the letters black, which actually picks them out and makes them much better and much more visible. But firstly, we have to click the tick to say that that's good. Now, right click on that face. So now we're going to add appearance to face. So if I click on add appearance to face and I change that to black, go to the J, add appearance. It's done something different because I forgot to click the tick. Click the tick, add appearance to face, that black, click the tick. There, I've now completed that block. I don't need to straighten it up, so all I'm going to do is use the snipping tool. There it is. Over to OneNote, put it down there, resize. You can have a bit bigger than that because that's the one I'm most proud of. And there are my 3, level 1, level 2, level 3. Now I am a true Jedi Master. Well done. See you for the next video.